Welcome to get to know the speakers of Digital Confex. Today, we have with us Sudhanshu Rastogi, who is Senior Manager UX Games at Entain Group. He will be speaking on the topic the future of storytelling in gaming and animation during the Gaming and Animation Confex happening at La Meridian in New Delhi on 23rd September 2023. Hi Sudhanshu, welcome to the chat show.
Hi Ayush, thanks for bringing me here.
It was pleasure to have you on this chat show. So, Sudhanshu, please give us a brief introduction of yourself and your field of expertise for the audience.
Hello everyone. Uh, First of all, let me thank DigiCon and and Ayush for bringing me here to share my journey of the 15 years that I've had with most of the top companies and at the top leadership level, and also not just the gaming but also the animation where I also fiddled my time and had a great learning experience there. So the journey started, long back from the time of when computers were just starting to come to India, as in the animation rather, I would say the computer generated animations were just coming to India back in 2004, 5. In fact, more than much before that it was around 2001, 2, and I got fascinated seeing the animation that was coming on the TV, and that is what got me hooked to it, and that's how I decided to move to some an institute where I can have a professional learning and a proper training about what animation is all about. I went to NID in the year 2001, and where I learned about the filmmaking, about the animation film design, about the communication design, and from there on I moved to after passing out in the year 2005, I moved to the television world, then the gaming world, then animation. And when I talk about the animation, so I'd had a good experience of learning about the pre-production, the storytelling, that what I'll be covering in this particular thing. At working on the Krishna project in big animation, and thereon, I spent some good time over there, and then I moved to the gaming world around in the year 2009, I guess. I moved to the gaming world, and where started working for one of the top companies in Australia. It was about the real money casino games, and there, all my learning that had happened in the past, I tried to bring in that experience, that learning into the world of gaming. Gaming is a different world. It has a different set of parameters. It has the storytelling is also different, but at the core level, it is all about engaging the audience, about the player, whoever you call. So it's been evolving. Storytelling is something that cannot. It's a skill. Obviously the technicalities and all those things can be picked up. It can be learned. You can learn all those jargons and going to the taking a training or going to a college or anywhere. But then it has to be felt from inside, and it took me time in understanding how I can bring in that storytelling into my work area of work, be it gaming, be it animation, be it anything. And because being a creative guy, I don't limit myself to just gaming or to just animation or to just anything. I mean, any creative problem that comes my way, I have to come up with a solution. And the user, the audience, they all they want is to be kept engaged, so they start feeling how important the product is, how important the product is for them. How can you tell? You just don't simply can't go and tell them that, see, this is for you, this is a solve your problem. No, you have to weave a story, you have to tell in a compelling way, where they, maybe directly or maybe indirectly, but they should become a part. As a good storyteller, I think when you transport a player or a user into your journey, he starts becoming a part and he starts feeling the same. That, okay, yeah, I'm also experiencing, start relating to what your problems are, and start thinking that, okay, yeah, these are my problems as well. And that's when you are a successful guy. So that's how the journey has been. And I've been, uh, had a good stint with India Today Group also. I was heading So Sorry, well known Polytones I was heading the department for the 6 years, and that was where all my learning about the filmmaking came into play, because that those spots were mostly of 2 minute duration, where you had to you were supposed to tell what has happened in a week's time, the most important news, but most in a funny way. You cannot be serious, and it's a big contradiction that the animation uh, has to be animation has to be used to tell the story in a funny way. At the same time, the political scenario, which is so serious in itself, politicians are fighting, and how to bring that comic element, bring out the comic element in those from those fights, and make it into a story, and weave them into a story, and then tell it to the audience, and that became a very so very big hit. It's a big show at this point of time, and I think it's doing very well. So that is one IP that I worked, and I'm very proud of. When it comes to storytelling, how you can tell the stories. And then thereon after that, I thought maybe I should go back to the gaming, because that's where the world is moving towards, and it brings in the technology and all your expertise, all your storytelling abilities, the animations, the graphics, the visuals, and then you bring in all together in one in one product, and evolve the player. And that's where the big challenge is, how to make those products engaging. So I've been doing that, and been successful in building those products so far, and I'm sure uh, going forward, as we move into the future, which holds the future is going to be really exciting for this particular domain, where all kinds of new technologies are coming in, like VR, AR, XR, and all that. And it's all about giving that experience to a player, which in a physical tablet or a desktop is not possible. Here you are just physically watching something like a movie, but when you have these immersive experiences, when you become a part of it, when you indulge into it, and then that it takes you to a different world altogether. So that's where the future lies, and I think the future is really bright. Some of the things have to be taken care of, but but what still feel, the future is very bright when it comes to these technologies.
So Sudhanshu, it was very exciting journey that you told us, from animation to polytoons and then gaming. So tell us your excitement for our event.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think these are some of the really good steps that the company that you're working for, Digital Confex, and all these companies that they take. That by bringing these, because as professionals, it's difficult to, because we are so busy in our own work, and we don't get time to come out and tell our experiences, share our experiences to the new generation, to the upcoming generation of artists and developers and all those people. So these kind of platforms really help us in coming face to face. They mostly see us on the on an image only, on the LinkedIn, or if some posts we post. Otherwise, face to face it really gets difficult for people like us to come to. So it is always good to get a stage, get a platform where we can come, interact, share our knowledge. And I think as a as somebody, and I started my career, I was always looking forward to these kind of professionals to come to us and talk to us and share our journey with us. So I'm sure the upcoming generation would also be getting some fruitful experiences from us, and they'll also be excited, and as well as us.
So moving forward, I have few questions for you today. So my first question is, tell us the role of storytelling in gaming and animation.
Storytelling, I'll tell you what. Storytelling is something. We use this word at least 10 times a day. Storyteller, good storytelling, good script, good. This movie had a good story. This thing, what he told was a very good thing that we heard. So storytelling is a part of our lives as a word, but we don't really know exactly. We don't know how to define it. What is a good storytelling? As kids, remember, I mean, we were like throwing excuses to our parents, to our schools, of bunking classes, or going to friends' place and not telling parents, and we would say, "Let's cook up a story, let's give an excuse." So it is all coming from that inherently it comes to every kid, to every human being, and through his experiences, through his around what he sees around, and through his imaginative mind, I would say, the creative mind that helps him build the stories, and how believable you make it is how successful you are as a storyteller. So we have all been have gone through this journey in the as a child, as kids, as working in the offices or anywhere. We have always been telling the stories and about what we have experienced in the party, what we've experienced in that, in a trip to some place or as anything. So we sit with friends and we tell about. If we are not telling the story good enough, they would be bored in a couple of minutes. But if the story is engaging, you will be building more group of friends, you'll be adding more people to the group. So, as somebody who can tell good stories will be always seen as somebody who's the most revered person in the group, would be most somebody who would be most loved in the group. So now coming to detailing it out as to what storytelling is, what is the art of storytelling. It's about how you convey a certain narrative, or or the sequence of events through words. I'm just talking about the verbal storytelling. There are multiple ways of storytelling. We shall talk about it later. But verbal storytelling is all about the how, where to take the pauses, how you break down the entire sequence into smaller events. You break down the entire thing into smaller events, you take pauses, then you build it up, you build the tension, and then you reveal the surprise element in the end, and people start cracking. And then again you start. So how you engage yourself is something which comes naturally to people. Some people are good at it, some are not. They can always improve on it because there's so many courses to tell them how to be a good talker, how to be a good storyteller, how to tell your things in a more more engaging way. So storytelling, what is storytelling? Storytelling, I think, uh, let me tell you about the different types of storytelling, various types of storytelling, where uh, first and the foremost is the oral storytelling. All our epics, all our old past knowledge has come through the oral storytelling. One person tells a story to the other, and that passes on all the folklores and the myths, all those legends. They have been told through verbal communication, through oral storytelling. Then the next would be the written literature. Uh, so again, that also involves a lot of skill. So one is oral, the other is written. Then comes the visual. So many cave paintings we see, and we come to know about what happened 2,000 years back, 3,000, 10,000. We look at the temple, we look at the sculptures. Those are all visual storytelling. So through visuals, you come to know about that time period, those cultures, those dresses, those people, what they practiced. So those are visual storytelling. Then moving on, then we have contemporaries like the theater, that involves now what I'm talking about is going to be the more interactive kind of storytelling, where you have theater, the performances, the live performances, where people are interacting, people are cheering, and they're interacting with the audience. That is one way of storytelling. Then the movies, everybody knows films and movies. You make, though there is no interaction, but a film is a good film if it keeps you engaged. It becomes a hit if it keeps you engaged. If it doesn't keep you engaged, you think, oh, when is it going to get over? It's too much of a time I'm wasting on it. It's a flop. So that's also one way of storytelling. Then comes the new age, digital media storytelling. The digital, now there within the digital, you have the video games, you have the websites, you have all kinds of virtual reality platforms which offer all kinds of games and other experiences. I'm just being specific to the games and the films only. I won't be diversing too far much here and there. So so then they've got the digital, and then you have musics and songs. Music in musical also, Ramcharitmanas and so many other things. Through music you can tell, through songs you can tell the entire epics, the entire long stories through songs, and people learn it very easily because they are all rhyming and they are all it's going in your head and you are able to recite it along with it. So Then you have the visual, and within the visual, the photography is one, and then painting, photography, they're all parallels. So these are the different types of storytelling. So many kinds of storytelling. I'm I started my career as an artist, a visual artist who used to paint, who used to draw. Then I transgressed into the films, which was again one way of telling story, one way. Nobody's interacting with me. I felt like doing something. This is my way of expressing the story, and I would just make it. That is one way. I transgress into that also. And then now I'm working into the digital space where I'm directly interacting with my product, with the player. So the player would come, would play, and I would get the feedback whether why my storytelling with what the product I made was good enough. Was it able to keep the people engaged? Because a lot of analytics, through analytics, you can come to know as to what was the engagement rate metrics and all that. So through that, you can come to know, okay, probably this. And then again, the UX comes into play, where before launching, you do a lot of iterations by testing it to the player as to whether it is engaging them. No, there are still some loopholes which have to be fixed, and it goes back to the drawing table again. You make the changes, and again it goes back. So this is now the things, a lot of processes have come into play where you can make the product foolproof by testing, by a lot of testing, by a lot of checking. It's safer. Why the gaming industry is working better than the films? Because films is released once. Film is not tested before the release. You watch it and you think you are a good as a filmmaker, and with your crew you decide yourselves without actually showing it to people. And then it you left leave it to the people whether to like it or not. But in gaming, because it's a process oriented, it's a lot of production, it's a lot of time consuming, a lot of money, though money is involved in both the productions. But in the gaming, you have a lot of proper checkpoints. You make something, you test it. You make something, you test it. When everything is all in sync, then you release it. That's the reason why the gaming industry is flourishing more than the film industry, as I say. So that's where that's so filmmaking. When I come to animation, sorry, when I'm talking about the storytelling. So I've told you different kinds of storytelling. Now the how what is the storytelling in the game, in the gaming domain? What is see when is a game a hit? Quite parallel to films. You have to have a character in the films also. You have to have a character in animation also, in the games also. Likeable character. That's when the reason when you see look at the marketing, pamphlets of the games which are getting released, they make a big character, with proper, attractive character. People should just look at it. Though when you play the game, that character is not visible. It may be very small. You can't even see the face of the character. But they project it as if this is the main character. This is how the marketing is done. So the character is the most important thing. Then in the game, what is that character going to do? What are the conflicts? What are the resolutions? One second. No? Sorry. So what are the characters? What are the conflict points? In the films also there is a conflict. A hero has to save a girl or do something to save the nation. In the game also, there is army of demons chasing a guy, and he is to save himself, or he has to save the princess, or he has to save. So there is again a conflict in both. The parallel is there. In gaming, you can pace it according to your. In between, you can bring in pauses. So a player doesn't have to, even if he's not interested in pursuing further, he can still pause it, take a breather, you know, take the feedback, improve on it by buying new things which he's missing on, probably some of the parts, some of the things. So game is more engaging. In the during the movie, you want to change certain. So that way is the plot has to be there, the conflict has to be there, the characters have to be there, the theme, periodic theme, contemporary theme, sci-fi theme, underwater theme, this theme, so many themes. The target audience just depends on again the trends, what people are actually loving. So as designers, as thinkers, we have to look at the trends. Like in the fashion industry, you see summer of so this year, that year. So likewise in our games also we have we have the trends what kind of trends are going to be upcoming trend, what are going to be there in the next year, in the next quarter, that whatever. So accordingly, we plan, we theme our games. Okay, so the crowd, the youngsters are too much excited about the say AI right now. So we would theme the game around the AI probably, or they are too excited about the sci-fi, or the Mars, or the Mars mission. So this way we keep the theme. Half the half the public, comes looking at the theme only, and then after you are able to attract them through your theme, then the characters, then comes the plot, then comes the conflict, and then how engaging it is, and this is how the storytelling can be incorporated within the game itself. Now it all depends, when we are writing the games. Suppose we are writing the game, writing is different. We are divided into different levels. So each level we decide on what kind of, each level can have a different theme. A player from one theme jumps to the other theme, jumps to the other theme. Upon successful completion of that particular level, moves to the other theme. Now moving going about like that. So you can as in, each game has so much to offer, and there is so much you can do. Each level can be so different. Each level can have its own conflict points, high points, resolutions. How you want to end the game, or you want to just keep, you know, player to keep the game, uh, you know not finishing and keep the game on all the time. So all the things, there's some infinite games also which they don't have a certain end. You can just keep playing. So that ways you can plan as a storyteller how you want to plan your games and how you can keep the game engaging.
So it was quite interesting that how you told us about various aspects of storytelling, like in sculptures, temples, and then you move on to gaming, movies, music. I think it was quite interesting. So my last question for today will be: tell us about your hobbies, like what do you love to do in your pastime.
See, in my pastime, see, I'm a busy guy. So I was lucky to be able to convert my hobbies into my career. So I'm not somebody who would say that I have certain other hobbies which I do after my work. So my work is my hobby. So I was lucky enough.